And so we are live on YouTube, and I'm gonna start recording. So good evening, everybody. This is Tuesday, July 13th at 6 p.m. This is a meeting of the Cannabis Policy Advisory Committee. If everyone would be able to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So thank you, everybody. I do at the outset, before I call everyone to order, I just actually want to announce actually the resignation of Kathy Spencer as chair. Actually on tomorrow night's Board of Selectmen agenda, is Ms. Spencer's resignation, and she has had a lot of commitments with her professional obligations, and is no longer able to be a member of the committee. But I just want to actually thank Ms. Spencer. I can thank her for all her efforts in leading the committee up until now. And that the next meeting, if it's okay with the board, we'll have a reorganization as part of the agenda, and we'll go forward from there. Because I have a feeling a few of you want to stop hearing my voice as much as you do. So, with that being said, anybody have any questions on that?
No, none. I'd just like to personally thank Mrs. Spencer for all of her efforts with the Cannabis Advisory Board. She's been with us for quite a few years and gave a lot of great input, and we're going to miss her.
No, I agree, Mr. Rhines. Thank you. Anybody else?
No, I agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Seeing and hearing no other comments, this is a Zoom meeting, so I do want to go through and have a roll call of our members. My name is Mike Mullen, and I'm the town administrator, and I'm here.
Yeah, I'll say Timothy F. Rhines. I'm the chairman of the Town Dayton Planning Board.
Thank you.
Robert Woods, concerned citizen.
Thank you, Mr.
Robin
Woods.
McDonald. Robin McDonald, Police Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Kevin Bernardo.
Thank you, Mr. Bernardo.
Chris McGee, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Chief. So that is everyone here and participating on Zoom this evening. And just moving right along in the agenda, and about an hour ago, I sent out an update because I noticed, actually with the help of Mr. Aguilar, that the original flowchart update had a typo in, I believe the retail section was that step 2 and 3, I believe, were the same. So we went through and updated everything. And what I'll do is I will actually share my screen.
I think it was 3 and 4, right? 3 and 4.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep. If everyone is able to actually share my screen, in looking at the cultivation, it did make sense really to look at the retail as well, and to make sure everything was accurate in a whole. And so the retail was generally actually kept the same. The only change on the retail is because actually the process with the Cannabis Control Commission actually does not now include anymore a letter of non-opposition requirement. We took that out in the retail. And then Like, and then we clarified the step 2 and 3 that Mr. Bernardo just mentioned.
No, it's actually, if you look, it says 4 and 5 look like the same thing.
Oh, geez, and now the 4 and 5 are the same. I can't get anything right tonight.
Yeah, so we just have to eliminate one of those because it's the same step.
Yes, I'll clean that up. Actually, one.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Bernardo.
Well,
And so, like, and then in the last step, we went through because actually the original flow charts could have actually actually represented a misnomer. Oh, you know that technically, well, according to the flow chart, as soon as the security plan was approved, all the operations would be able to begin, but obviously we would need actually the proper state approval and the building occupancy permits as well. So we added that in there into both sets for obvious reasons.
Yep, I agree. I like it. The flow chart's been cleaned up. I think it's gonna suit our needs and purposes. From what I read, Mr. Mullen, I think you've done a great job on this. I don't know if any of the members agree.
yeah. I just had one quick question. So this is the retail one?
Yeah, this is the retail.
Okay. And it mentions the permit, which is good for the local Board of Health?
Yes, that's why the Board of Health is specifically mentioned in the retail, Kevin.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's pretty much they have to apply first because there's a bunch of steps they have to go through.
Yep.
I didn't see that in the cultivation though. Them applying for their permit?
Through the Board of Health, my understanding is that the dispensary is the only one that specifically requires the Board of Health, Kevin.
I opened up the regs
Yeah.
before. I don't know if I can get to it here, but I believe it said anyone that cultivate sells, it just lists the whole, everything. Let me read it if I can find it. Marijuana operating permit. No person shall sell, cultivate, deliver, or otherwise commercially distribute marijuana products as defined herein within the town of Dayton without first obtaining a marijuana operating permit issued annually by the Dayton Board of Health. Then it goes on to other stuff, but I thought that would just cover everyone.
But was the word cultivate? I didn't hear the word cultivate though, no?
Yeah, it does say, no person shall sell,
Yep.
cultivate,
Okay.
deliver, or otherwise commercially distribute
Okay.
marijuana products as defined herein within the town of Dayton without first obtaining a marijuana operating permit. We obviously, I work for the, I'm a member of the Board of Health as well.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see everything, their site plan, what they're doing with their septic.
Yep.
They're going to put any holding tanks. Obviously, they have to be permitted with us. Or are they going to have any food there? Whatever it is.
Yep.
So that's why I think we encompassed everything.
That makes sense. So, based on that, I think beefing up actually step 6 a little more would be logical then, correct? On both
Correct. Yeah.
on both the retail and the
Yes.
cultivation.
It says they have to come to us first to get a permit. So then the planning board would know that at least that's in the works.
But that doesn't mean they need to go to the Board of Health before the planning board for site plan or for special permit. Right? You able to hear me, Kevin? Hello?
I don't know, everyone's frozen. I don't know if you guys, is it my internet or?
I think it might be yours, Kevin.
Yeah, I can hear you now, Kevin, fine.
Yeah, but our regulations, they don't
Yeah,
actually.
let me go inside, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have my Bible up in front of me either. Time you need it, you got it.
Sorry, guys, that better?
Yes.
I don't know, I lost some internet. I missed what you said, Mike, I apologize.
Yeah, my only question was, no applicant would need to go to the Board of Health before the special permit with the planning board. They would just have to go to the Board of Health along the way. Is that correct?
I believe, yeah. So that would be one of the steps that they'd have to do. See, this is how we did it in other towns that I worked in.
Yep.
When it was a zoning board of appeals or a planning board,
Uh-huh.
they would submit the packet to each department with a sign off.
Yep.
And pretty much said, if you have any comments before this time,
Yep.
they gave you a date. Please put it in writing so we can review it. So I would see all that and I'd say, my comments would be for the Board of Health. I would say,
Yep.
the applicant will have to follow these regulations.
Yep.
And we'll have to look at, and I would just give a synopsis of what they would have to do. And I would write back to the planning board. So that would be one of the things listed, that they would have to follow the regulations, and we'd also have to do inspections and maybe a site plan review ourselves.
So a lot of what you just actually described, Kevin, was encapsulated. Oh, sorry, my phone's ringing. Actually encapsulated in step 4.
Yes. I just didn't see it in the cultivation part, that's why.
Oh.
The way it said permit. Because it just says later on, it says, contact Board of Health on number 7, who will inform you if you need any stormwater management permit.
Yep.
I think it should say also regular permit, our operating permit for marijuana.
Where are you reading this, Kevin?
On the cultivation number step 7,
Yeah.
it just says contact Board of Health who will inform you if you need to obtain a stormwater management permit.
Yep.
I also think it should be listed as a marijuana permit.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of the permitting here is actually with the planning board, not the Board of Health.
Correct, the planning board is a special permit granting authority in this instance. But then again, Kevin, along the way, yes, they are gonna have to go through the Board of Health for, certain, once they get their facility up, I'm sure you guys are gonna have to do an, initial inspection to give them a CO to sign off on so they can occupy.
Yeah, but it's not really a CO, we have regulations in place that they have to follow to operate.
How about this, Kevin?
Yeah.
And we can make this language reciprocal. Contact the Board of Health for applicable inspections.
That's good.
Yeah, that encompass all of step 6, because then again, just like you say, Kevin, due to the size and the nature, they're still gonna have to possibly go to stormwater to get a permit, depending on the location, they may have to go to conservation, that type of thing, so all the steps will be followed through the process, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can do a better job actually formatting that, but does that make sense with everybody?
It does. It covers that. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, it does, because, the major things that we're really looking at is, especially in the end, is security. I'm sure the chief of police and the fire chief will agree, is that, that's the main thing here. Is we want to make sure that they're following the laws that are set by the Cannabis Control Commission in regards to what our recent bylaw changes were at our, annual town meeting. So we just want to make sure that's all in place.
Mm-hmm. So, does anyone have any more questions on the retail before we move over specifically to the cultivation?
No, I have none.
All right. So moving over to the cultivation. And again, we will clean up step 4 and 5 and fix the numbering as well. The only thing here and what we're going through with one entity now, and I want to raise this question at this point for the committee. Like in the event that there's an entity who doesn't have like adequate underlying zoning. A question for the committee is before we go, to the Board of Selectmen for an HCA, at what point do we want them to demonstrate, proper zoning? Does the committee, would it be under the model now, this actually assumes that the underlying zoning is acceptable. But if the underlying zoning is not acceptable, I guess, does it actually, would that require the applicant before, they can actually start even talking about an HCA? Should we have them actually go through, either a variance process with the zoning board or anything else?
If I may, Mr. Town Administrator, I just want to elaborate on, I want to make the distinction between two crops. Cannabis and hemp are two different crops. Hemp falls under the agricultural aspect of the still cannabis laws, okay? Now, the cannabis itself, if you were to grow outdoors, that's a manufacturing crop, and due to our bylaws, that would have to be enclosed in a building.
Yep.
And Mike, I want to speak about that a little bit too, if you don't mind.
Nope.
Because that's kind of been wearing on me as a member of the Cannabis Advisory Board, as a member of the Planning Board, and as a citizen.
Yep.
As you know, we have someone who's trying to put an outdoor facility in the town of Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
And, they would have to cross residential property to get to industrial land, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's clear in our zoning bylaws that is illegal, I'll call it. And then the other part of the bylaws that we have, like Timothy Ryan just said, if you want to grow marijuana in the town of Dayton, according to our bylaws, it has to be in a structure or in a building. And part of the first email that you sent out, there's some concerns by some Susan Elliott or something.
Yes.
And
I wanted to share that with the committee.
Right. Are we going to discuss that further along in the meeting?
Yeah, that is also on the agenda, Mr. Woods.
Okay. I have big concerns with people that want to present something to the Board of Health and the town administrator, knowing that it's totally against our zoning bylaws. So they're looking for waivers or variances for something that's really not allowed. You know, the town goes through a lot of hassle and work to establish these bylaws just to have people come to try to skirt around them. And I don't appreciate that. So I think you know how I feel. And, you know, before, and I see it happen when they come to the Board of Selectmen and everybody gets a little giddy and they think it's great. But really, it's against the bylaws. And I think the Board of Selectmen and our town administrator should stress that before they,
Yes.
you know, kind of make these people feel welcome.
Yeah, you know, I'll just say this, and I think Mr. Woods will agree to the conversation, that we had a gentleman who owns a subdivision across the street from Town Hall who thought that he could have 2 marijuana investors come down from Maine and have an outdoor grow enclosed in a building on a property that was just, it couldn't be done because it was a 55 and over affordable housing complex. And this guy tried to pull it off. Remember that, Woody? So we,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I don't know if we want to run into that situation again.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, you know, like as we know, there are a few cultivation entities out there that have an interest in Dayton. Like, I mean, and I, in all my communications with all of them, have been extremely clear as to the zoning of the properties in question. But the reason I asked this question, if the zoning doesn't conform, then the applicant, the owner, they have a right to go through the the zoning board of the variance process. So
Correct. For relief, yes. Now, Mike, now in regards to, I'll just say the 620 Spring Street, we've had the general consensus of the planning board that yes, internally in an enclosed building, I believe that yes, we would give relief to an applicant. I'll make that statement, and I know that has been forwarded to the office of the town administrator from our office manager downstairs. So I know that that's already been done. In regards to outdoor, as Mr. Woods has stated, you know, that's you're crossing, you know, residential into commercial, and it's not allowed under our bylaws.
yeah, what about as an option 1A, I mean, under step 1, when people reach out to me, because they do, when they reach out,
Couldn't you just have a disclaimer or something like says all
yes,
applicants must meet the zoning requirements or have approval through the zoning board of appeals?
I like that, Kevin. Yep.
That's part of the process.
I'm just going to say this. I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Oh boy.
I know. Oh boy. The zoning board of appeals approves just about every damn thing that goes before them. I don't know why.
Yeah, but I would say this, like I said before, in other towns, something is circulated between the departments and they say, do you have any objections here? The meeting is on this day, or you have any comments? And that's when each department weighs in and says, hey, based on this, they have to meet this requirement. Based on this, so it weighs heavier on their decision. But if nobody's involved and the applicant just comes to the zoning board of appeals, and most likely they'll just approve it. But if other voices chime in and there's documents to be read at those meetings, the decisions could be different.
I agree.
I agree too, but you know what? I can't go to a meeting every night of the week. You know,
No, you don't have to. We would get a,
right.
Just say you worked, well, just say you were on the Board of Health with me.
Yeah.
This would come in and say, this applicant's looking for this. Do you have any comments, concerns? And you would just document it. And at that meeting, they would read that, and then they would, with all the other documents, make their decision based on that, instead of just saying just the applicant's there and no other departments involved at all, which I can't believe we actually do that.
Yeah, so how about to Kevin's point, under step one, actually on both, for the retail as well, actually, in this instance. Like if we add a sentence at the end of step one that says, oh, you're the town administrator together with the building commissioner will confirm conformance with zoning. Like, and if it, essentially, if it doesn't conform, then process will start. Then we're not gonna tell an applicant, how to make it conform.
Correct.
At that point, it will be up to them, to decide if they think they should try to go to town meeting, or if they should go through go before the zoning board of appeals for a variance.
Yeah, I'm playing this out in my mind. I'm just thinking that the planning board would grant the internal relief to a facility, say at 620 Spring Street. In regards to crossing residential into commercial, that would be, I still believe that they would still have to go through the process of going through the planning board. We would render our decision and they would ask for relief through the zoning board of appeals. That's how our process works through our bylaws in regards to that manner. So I understand, Kevin, what you're saying is that I did a informal poll of the members of the planning board to ask them if we would grant relief to, say, a building at 620 Spring Street internally because of they're within 1,000 feet of each other at the same structure. So they would have to get we would be the relief granting authority in that aspect. In regards to the outdoor, growth situation, is that they would still have to come to the planning board with all their plans, to get a look at it. We would still have to say up or down that we would not be able to grant them any relief, and they would go to the zoning board of appeals, who in turn would probably, I don't want to speak for them, but, possible relief could be granted.
So, I don't disagree with you, but to Mr. Woods' point though, why are we as a town gonna go so far down a road with an applicant? If the zoning doesn't conform in the first place?
Yeah, I agree. They should,
No, I
that should
agree.
be taken care of right away. And then we have our checks and balances all through this whole process. We have our checks and balances, but that should be taken out of the picture. So we don't say, oh, wait a minute, you don't even need the zoning.
Yep.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, Kevin. Yeah, we should be just completely upfront. I agree. Now that I think about it, it's just completely upfront right out of the gate. Say, hey, you don't meet the requirements of what is required under our bylaws or zoning, bylaws or subdivision rules or regulations for that matter. So, agreed.
So if I was to add that in, that the town administrator together with the building commissioner will check on zoning conformance as part of step one?
I think that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great addition. Yes.
Okay.
After discussion, yes.
Is there agreement with everybody on that?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agree.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I just think it takes a lot of the guesswork out, so we don't go down this road. And frankly, so the board of selectmen or the planning board is not, actually required or expected to go down a road that, who knows at that point where it's going to lead to.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, I agree, because we really don't want to be stringing along or, leading along any of the applicants. We should just be upfront,
All right. So I will thank you, everybody. I will add that in there. In terms of step one, then moving forward, everything, I will make I already changed the applicable inspections for the Board of Health. And you can see that I also changed step 10 to reflect the state approvals in the building occupancy permits as well. Does this make sense with everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Anyone have any any remaining questions or issues, or would I be able to entertain a motion to approve based on the amendments that we discussed?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Bernardo with a close tie with Mr. Rhines. Second by Chief McGee. All those in favor, Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Bernardo.
Aye.
Chief McDonald.
Aye.
Yeah, Mr. Rhines.
Aye.
Chief McGee.
Aye.
And I'm Mike Mullen, I'm an aye. Thank you, everybody, for that. That was a good update, and I appreciate everyone's work. I also want to thank Brett Sacrifice. He also was helpful, in getting me the updated spreadsheet as well. So, thank you, Brett. Moving on to the correspondence that Mr. Woods had mentioned. There was, I believe, a Dayton resident, Mrs. Elliott, who reached out to Selectman Zagrafis and to Mr. Pacheco about concerns with cannabis farms. They were actually conveyed as being outdoor grow facilities, and there were a number of issues that Ms. Elliott had raised with regards to outdoor cannabis farms, I believe, and we wanted to bring those articles to your attention.
Mike, I just want to say I read that email, and I agree 100% with that woman. And it would not be fair to any of the residents that live anywhere near 6 acres worth of marijuana. I don't know how familiar you are with the odor of that stuff, but it is very powerful and strong. And I have other concerns about safety of children trying to get in there, climbing the fence, trying to steal it, the liability of that, and, concerns about the children getting hurt. And I spoke to someone at that last community outreach program, one of their consultants, I guess. And he said, well, even if they stole some, it really wouldn't hurt them much because there's so much there. If they only took a few plants, they're not really concerned. But they didn't seem like they were concerned about the safety of children. A teenager's a teenager, and they're going to do things. It's up to the ZBA if they want to grant them a variance to cut across residential property to get to industrial property. That's another concern of mine. But just the safety and the odor, it's going to stink really bad for a couple of months. I mean, just a few plants stink. But if you got 6 acres, it's going to smell like the dump. I don't know if you drove by the Taunton dump, but it's a pretty stinky place. Uh,
TA Mike?
It clearly says in our bylaw that it can't be done outside. So, you know, I would be dead set against that, and being on the planning board and you want a special permit from us, it's gonna be difficult.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Chief McDonald, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I 100% agree with Woody, what he just said. Absolutely. That could be a major problem with that, especially with the younger kids. You know, they experience things, and we need to think about that. So I just want to say that what he said, I'm 100% behind him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other thoughts on that correspondence or feedback?
I know from the Board of Health perspective, we always get complaints, and I'm sure we would get the odor complaints. So I would hope that an establishment that would come in would identify that and come to us and say, this is our plan for odors. So being outside would be very difficult. And also composting. We always ask, what are you doing with the waste? How are you getting rid of it? Where is it being stored? And obviously we work closely with the police department to make sure that safety, of course, and that's always a priority. So.
And the other thing too, Mike, to think about is water. Those plants require a lot of water, and the Dayton Water District is short on water.
Correct, yeah.
Understood. So understood. And I think, you know, this, this whole topic has been in the news a lot lately. So I think, you know, obviously there were questions, thoughts about different applicants or projects or proposals out there. But I think it bears, like a lot of careful consideration as we go forward. Based on all the comments on that. So.
Yeah, I'll just say this is that I don't think that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, the applicant would want to build a 10,000 square foot building with all the internal, HEPA filter systems as such, and then like, Mr. Bonato said, the waste disposal, that type of thing, because everything's monitored from seed to sale wherever it's grown anyway. And so that way there's a tracking system. So, and I agree with what Woody said, that kids are kids, and, I've seen it grow outside in Swansea. It was done last year. I believe it was cannabis. It had an electric fence, and you never know. Some kid might get stupid and try to cut an electric fence and get zapped or whatever it may be. So you just don't know.
No, thank you. I appreciate Mr. Ryan's. Does anyone have any other thoughts or questions or anything else before we adjourn?
No, I think you, Mike, we need to continue the conversation, especially if we're going to have, potential applicants, in a section of town that's been discussed recently. We've had one in front of us at the planning board recently. Their attorney gave us a brief presentation. I thought it was well done. She was well prepared. It talked extensively about security, especially at that location. And that's, 90% of it. And I'm sure the chief of police will agree, is that especially in a residential district, we want to make sure the security is tight, that there's, no sales to children, and, the building's, sufficiently secured, so.
Yep. I know, and I agree. Like, on that note too, I just want to update, I just want to update everybody. 2 weeks ago, the Board of Selectmen entered into a host agreement with Pure Oasis. So that actually Kobe Evans from Pure Oasis, he reached out to me today. I connected him with Kerry Easterday, to get the special permit process underway for that. And also the Marigrow, like we're working on an HCA with them that is going before the Board of Selectmen this month at the board's meeting on the 28th. And if anyone has been up in the area of William Street lately, you will see that the construction for the One Connection building is very much happening and is very much real. And the future COO of One Connection actually reached out to me a week ago, and they're planning actually a hiring event and everything as they work to staff up later this summer. So, I mean, there is a lot of progress here, and there's a lot of excitement here. But again, we just need to make sure we manage it, and we make sure it's all controlled as we have as a community. So, I just wanted to bring everyone up to speed on those aspects as well.
Thank you, Mike. I have one more thing. As you know, I live pretty close to the mill over here, and I talked to some of the neighbors about the odor, even though it's, it's going to be confined indoors. There's a facility on Mazone Boulevard in Taunton over by Home Depot. And if you're anywhere within the vicinity of that building, like over at Target and that little plaza over there, you can smell marijuana. So maybe we could, or you could reach out to somebody and get us a tour of one of these facilities.
Yep.
Especially for the planning board and the Cannabis Advisory Board.
Yep.
Just so we kind of know and look at what kind of systems they have, because I know that they're progressing in this type of industry with different charcoal filters or whatever they use to eliminate the odor. But when you're talking about, as many square foot as they have over at the mill, it's going to be like 10 times larger than the one at Mazone Boulevard. So the neighbors are quite concerned about the odor.
Yep.
I don't know how we can go about maybe getting a little tour or, a little more education on it.
Yeah, a few ideas on that. I mean, one of the things, and this, and I'm getting into planning board territory here, and I apologize, but I mean, one of the things with, actually 620 Spring Street and, and the leasing that the owners want to do with that building, one of the questions I have is if all the odor control in the building with the different entities who are going to be in the building and using the building are going to be uniform. That's a question I have as we go forward. But I do know in talking with Pure Oasis, they are actually working with a consultant out of Brockton who hasn't, and that firm is called In Good Health. And they do have an indoor cultivation facility on the west side of Brockton. And I do think, Woody, that, that the idea for a site visit, and to learn from them and to make sure that we are viewing this in a way that really protects the interests of our town and our neighborhoods, is a really good idea, because that's what we need to be doing at this point.
Right. I'd like to have some educated answers for the residents when they come to community outreach and public hearing.
I agree completely. That makes perfect sense, and I will work on that.
Great. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Anybody else?
Second.
No, I have nothing. I'll agree with what he said. No, I agree. Site visit, road trip. We have a vehicle that we could use. So if 4 or 5 of us go up, then we go up and go for a road trip and whatever it may be.
Is Woody driving?
Yeah, I'm driving.
Okay.
In the MG. I'll go in the MG.
There you go.
With that, everybody, there's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rhines. All those in favor, Mr. Bernardo,
Aye.
Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Rhines,
Aye.
Chief McDonald,
Aye.
Chief McGee.
Aye.
I'm Mike Mullen. I'm an aye. And have a good night, everybody. Thank you.